Good afternoon. I'm David Horrigan, eDiscovery Counsel and Legal Content Director at Quartararo Relativity, and I'm here with Michael Quartararo, one of the true experts in our industry. He's one of the speakers here today at the conference. He's also the author of the book, Electronic Project Management in Electronic Discovery. I've got to get the title right. An outstanding book that has really boiled down the process of just what happens in eDiscovery. Michael, starting off, I wanted to ask you, first of all, of course, about your book. And secondly, what got you inspired to enter project management? You're with the law firm Strick & Levan in New York City. Yeah. And how did you get involved in project management and eDiscovery?
So it really just was kind of an organic thing. I think as I think back on it, I was working at another big firm and managing enormous class action securities litigations, and every step of the way running into obstacles and failures to communicate, failure to scope out things properly, and so it just occurred to me that there has to be a better way. And so in the early 2000s, I started reading about project management without ever having an intention of actually implementing the processes. And
I take it these were project management projects outside of eDiscovery.
Absolutely.
And probably the law, because it didn't exist.
Sure. So, I mean, everybody knows about project management in construction or,
right.
or aeronautics, or NASA uses project management, the automobile industry. But, who thought that it could? And then I started reading, and as I learned that it's used in finance quite commonly, I said to myself, these principles can be applied to any industry, including the legal industry. And so it's really just a matter of project management is not some rocket science like everybody thinks. It's really just a matter of scoping out a project, looking at things like time and cost, budgeting, planning, the most important thing, proper communication, and managing expectations. Figuring out what done looks like before you go down that road.
Sure.
That's all project management is. It's not rocket science.
Well, it is rocket science the way that you do it, for no other reason that people hadn't done it before. And I'm wondering what's different about project management in eDiscovery law than in other industries, construction, finance, what have you?
So the biggest difference is you're working in what I would consider, when you're building the new Ford Mustang, everything's defined for you, where every screw goes, where every piece of metal goes, all that's defined. In the law and in eDiscovery in particular, it can be rather unpredictable. And so add to that the fact that you're working within an adversarial process,
sure.
particularly in litigation.
Right.
And so you've got a whole bunch of balls in the air at the same time, and it's kind of unpredictable, and it's not quite clear who's leading, and there's miscommunications. And so getting all those things under control is really what distinguishes the legal project management atmosphere from, say the construction industry, where you can't frame the house until you put the foundation in. You can't put the roofing on until you've sheathed the roof, right? So there's very clear demarcations. In legal, not always so clear. Things can change on a dime.
Gotcha. You work for a very distinguished law firm at Strick, and I was wondering, how difficult was it to convince the partners to go along with project management and eDiscovery? I assume that maybe it's almost its own cottage industry now within the firm, but was it a tough sell there, or did they really embrace it? So
it's been embraced, and to be quite honest, what's cool about project management, at least in so far as what I do, is that I didn't need the partnership permission to do this. It just made common sense. Of course, I tell them about it. I say, hey, we're going to start doing it like this because this is a better way to do it. The good thing, what has been great about my sort of rise through this process is that it was so new, it was appealing, and people just sign on sort of automatically. But to be fair, to be honest, the firm it's been sort of managing up as opposed to the firm saying, hey, we're going to do this new thing, Mike says, right? It didn't happen that way. Yeah. We started doing some new things on our own, and they started to really make sense, and they started to work. And when you get results,
I hear you.
You don't have to sell it.
Makes perfect sense. How long did it take you to write the book?
About 3.5 years.
Not surprising, because after all, you do have your day job going on.
I do. And the book is already out of date, I'm told.
That's how fast things happen around here.
That's right.
You planning any sequels?
Yeah, we're looking at version 2. I've got some edits and some comments and some feedback from readers. It's been remarkably well received, and I'm pretty proud of it.
As you should be. Let's turn our attention to the conference here. What's been your biggest takeaway so far?
So I'm actually kind of disappointed because going on right now is the
artificial intelligence. I wanted to be in there too, but I'm happy to be here interviewing you as well.
No, I agree, but it was the one I was looking for, and I have some particularly strong opinions about artificial intelligence. Is just mostly that they're not artificial, but
right. So while we're on it, what do you think about the whole idea of robots taking over as it applies to the law?
I don't think robots can replace human reasoning ever. I don't think it'll happen, and if it did, that would truly be artificial intelligence, right? Because if you think about it, artificial intelligence implies something other than a human's reasoning involved. True artificial intelligence would be a machine truly learning and reasoning on its own without human input, right? So I still call it AI, I just call it augmented intelligence.
Ah, very good.
And I have to confess, I steal that from the head of the Watson lab at IBM. So. That's what they call it.
The most sincere form of flattery. Hey, got a question for you. They're asking this question to a lot of people here. If you had one e-discovery superpower, what would it be?
Oh my goodness. What would my e-discovery superpower be? I think a better ability to persuade practitioners to use technology in the ways they're intended. And I say that just having spent about 20 years trying to convince lawyers that technology is now part of the law. It's been an uphill battle for sure. It's the one thing, I think I do it fairly well, and if I could enhance any ability, that's the one I would want, because it would make my job easier, it would make my life easier. It would help a great deal, and it would contribute to the industry.
Great. Michael Quartararo, Strick and Levan, thank you so much for being with us, being part of the conference. I'm David Horrigan with Quartararo Relativity, and please stay tuned for our upcoming videos.